2 years ago, the team of Divine Mercy set out to provide a supportive service program that was both self-sustaining and important to this community. Considering the complexity of the regulatory environment, the program would also need to circumvent the pressures of the government forcing our hand in ways that oppose our moral values as Roman Catholics. To accomplish this, we first looked to the Archdiocese and found support and understanding in ways that we never even imagined possible. Then we turned to Catholic Charities and the Catholic Foundation of Northern Colorado. In each of these, we found support, guidance, and friendship. With a clear mission in mind and newly partnered resources at hand, we've been able to develop a Catholic standard of care for end of life, gain the support of more than 35 volunteers, provide supportive services for 8 patients and their families, provide seminars for more than 1,000 people, complete the licensing application process, and assemble a team of very experienced hospice clinicians. And we've also been actively developing our board of directors from religious, business, and medical thought leaders from around the country. And while we can't help but be pleased with the progress that we've made, we're saddened to know that during the time it's taken us to get this far, more than 1,000 people in Denver alone who call themselves Catholic have died without the support of an agency focused on sacramental and spiritual preparation for life everlasting. Your presence here tonight is helping us to advance further the process of serving our faith community. So from the bottom of my heart, thanks to each and every one of you for being here this evening. In addition to many of the supporters and volunteers that I see throughout here tonight, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Divine Mercy team who, with the support and buy-in from their families, have selflessly contributed to countless hours of their time over the past 2 years in this cause. But not only they didn't receive any financial reward in doing this has all been volunteer on their part. And as a matter of fact, they've paid for a lot of the services we've provided out of their own pockets. So thank you, guys.
To introduce somebody who's the Divine Mercy is also very near and dear to his heart, having come from a family whose father was a doctor. Archbishop Aquila has been very interested and very supportive of all the activities associated with Divine Mercy. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the Most Reverend Archbishop Aquila, Samuel Aquila from the Archdiocese.
Thank you very much. It is good to be here with you this evening, and especially to support the mission of Divine Mercy Supportive Care and Hospice. As Larry shared with you, my dad was a physician. He died back in 1988. He chose to die in a hospital. And it was a daily commute of over 45 minutes from our home, often in heavy traffic, to go to see him during that time. It was in Los Angeles. My mother, on the other hand, chose to die at home. And when she was diagnosed with cancer, it was a tremendous surprise for all of us because she was very vibrant, looked good, and had very few symptoms. But she was filled with cancer, and the doctors gave her 4 months to live. She lived for over 11 months. And the last 5 months, I was flying back and forth every 2 weeks to see her, to care for her, and to manage things for her. Her cancer had spread to her brain, and because of that, we needed people to help. And one of my aunts came forward and said, "We will help you with it." And there was a group of nuns that she was really close to, and they would come and help. And then also we turned to hospice, but it was not a Catholic hospice. It was a secular hospice, and so I ended up doing the pastoral care for her at that time. And I recognized how tremendously important it was, because hospice itself really did not understand, the secular hospice, how much faith means to people and part of the journey of dying. And I remember towards the last week of her life, she shared with me at one point, she said, I am climbing a mountain where there is a tremendous number of people. She said, the beauty is incredible, and the sunlight is amazing. And she said, and it is just beautiful and so peaceful. And I said, Mother, I said, just keep your eye on that and get to the top. Because that's where you want to go. And God will be there for you. And on the day that she died during the singing of the Ave Maria. Because we would play Gregorian chant for her. And her death was a beautiful death. People will look at me like, how can death ever be beautiful? But it was filled with faith. And it was filled with a peace about it. One of my sisters asked me, who is somewhat of an eclectic believer, asked me, she said, how can you be so peaceful? And I said, because I know that she journeyed in faith. And she walked with Christ to the end. And he was there for her. And that is the kind of mission that Divine Mercy can provide. All of us know the great secularism that is overtaking our society. Recently, in the last few days, I was interviewed by La Voz, which is a Spanish publication here within the Archdiocese, because of an article that was in the New York Times that was entitled Aid in Dying. And that is a new euphemistic term, similar to pro-choice with abortion, that people are using instead of assisted suicide. They shun the term assisted suicide and want to look at this as something that is compassionate to do, to help people take an overdose, to help people take their own lives, or to give more treatment. And all of us know, hopefully, within the Catholic moral teaching, in terms of just the care for people, that as death approaches, you do not have to go to extraordinary means. At one point, the doctor said to me, he said, I have to ask you, do you want to put your mother on oxygen? And I said, Doctor, I said, she is down to 75 pounds. I said, what good is the oxygen going to do? And he said, well, it'll probably make her much more conscious, and she'll be able to say goodbye to people. And I said, she did that about 6 weeks ago for Mother's Day. I said, when I was home, she had me call the people she wanted to say goodbye to. And I said, that's all taken care of. So I don't see any need to put her on oxygen. And he said, well, you are the one who is her medical person, so you can make that decision. But with that, it's important for us to recognize all that is there when a person is dying from a Catholic perspective, and to really help those people who truly desire to have a Christian death and to have a death that is focused on faith. And oftentimes in our hospitals, in some of the hospices, as good as they can be, they lack that faith dimension. The only place that I have ever seen it is in the homes of the Little Sisters of the Poor. And there they do provide that kind of faith dimension. And but they don't have homes for everybody who's dying, and nor can they assist that. And so when I heard about the mission and the work of Divine Mercy, and because of my own experience, I very much support the work that they are doing, the ministry that they want to do, and I want to extend my deep gratitude to all of you for supporting that mission and that work. Thank you very much.
So I'm going after the Archbishop, which is really no pressure. Woody Allen once said, 80% of life is showing up. But sometimes it's easier just to stay home in bed. So tonight I'd like to thank everyone for showing up. End of life care maybe makes it a little bit easier to stay home in bed. So thank you for being here. And since we're all here in this beautiful house, in this wonderful room with so many people that I know personally that have wonderful, caring hearts, I thought I would share a short story that really symbolizes why I think we're here. This was a couple of years ago at the VA down on Colorado and 8th at the Veterans Hospital. And I was walking down the hallway and had this intuitive sense that someone in one of these rooms needed a little bit of help. And I came across the room, it was dimly lit, and I looked at the name tag, and it said LeBron Johnson, Marine Corps. I said, all right, hoorah, here we go. So I walk in the door, and I find LeBron in a terrible mess. His eyes are bulging in pain, and he's writhing in the sheets, and he's making this groaning noise, like, "Mah." And all I can think to do is step up to the side of his bed and say, you know, what all of us would say, you know, are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help? And he only says, "Ah." So not knowing what to do, I take a step back to go find a nurse, because this is totally out of my league now. He grabs my wrists and pulls me down about 3 inches from his face. And he says this one word that I'll never forget. Blue. I go, what's that, LeBron? What'd you say? He goes, blue. And now, I paused for a moment, I had no idea what to say. But I figured, might as well just say it back to him. So I said, yes, sir, I hear you. Blue. I understand you. Blue. And this was like the magical word. His eyes eased back in his forehead, and his body relaxed, and the writhing in the sheets stopped, and I could see him catch his breath. So I sat there a few minutes, and occasionally said the word blue. I hear you, LeBron. Blue. And after a few minutes, he fell asleep, and I was sitting there saying a few prayers, but also thinking, what's with this word blue? This is like magic or something. So I step outside, and there's a nurse at the nurse's station, and I ask her, you know, ma'am, what's with this word blue? Do you have any idea why it was so powerful or so important for LeBron? And she goes, yes, my dear. See his name here, LeBron Johnson, and the blue label? Blue means he's a hospice patient. Blue means he isn't going home. Blue means he's here to die. Maybe he just wanted you to know that. So I think this story has an important lesson, and it taught it to me. And it was that in end-of-life care, showing up is about the small things. It's not about the big things, like a tracheotomy in the last week to extend it a few more days, or more oxygen, like we heard from the Archbishop, to extend it another couple weeks, or having dialysis for another month. It's about the small things, somebody to listen, somebody bringing flowers, or somebody providing a card, or somebody reading a Bible verse. End-of-life care, it's truly the small things that show that matter most. So, as we're gathered here, we have so many wonderful people, I think I could share my favorite Bible verse. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my midst, there am I among them. And I think nothing could be more fitting, because we have a lot of people gathered in the midst of the Holy Spirit tonight. We have the Archbishop, we have priests and clergy, and some of the greatest attorneys in town, and doctors. And I just, as I think about that, I have just one question. How can we show up for divine mercy? How can we show up in the small ways? How can we show up in maybe some of the bigger ways? First, with your time as a volunteer, providing the gifts of the Spirit, listening, compassionate, quality care. How can we show up with our talents? Business advice, chaplains, someone there just to say hello. And lastly, how can we show up with our treasure? We know that Divine Mercy needs finances. They need resources. We're looking to put an investment into a group home and have a place where we can go and meet and take care of people. We're also looking for funding to provide medical services and care, and I know Kevin can tell you more about that. So I ask everyone that, how can you show up for Divine Mercy? But really, how can we show up for Divine Mercy? Because I know if we do that, if we live a little bit more like Christ in that way, maybe we can also create a couple of miracles along the way. Thank you very much. Okay, there's a couple more announcements. Before everybody disperses, a few thank yous are in order. First, John and Barb Fitzpatrick, we have a little present here for you. This is their wonderful and beautiful house. We will not be there again. And I also want to recognize and thank a couple of very special people that have shown up day and day again in my life, and that. And we're going to shift a little bit from end of life care to Valentine's Day, because it's death and love. What else is there tonight? So, first, my brother over here on the video camera. He came from downtown. He doesn't get out much. He's down there. Thank you, Michael. I'd also like to thank my parents, Pat and Laura Murphy, right here. They have been such an inspiration in this world. I just think it's so much. I got my mom some flowers for Valentine's Day here. I don't know which one these are. It's kind of dripping wet, but keep them in the water. I also want to recognize my girlfriend, Ann Berg. She celebrated her 14th year at Janus yesterday, so 14 years on the 14th in 2014. And it's really cool. She's been helping me put together my social impact fund, Miracle Ventures, and has truly been an inspiration in many ways. I have got her some flowers too, because I don't know, I probably could have got more yesterday, but we have some flowers here. And last but not least, I want to recognize my good friend, probably the light of the VA, Mercy. She is an incredible nurse. From the day I showed up, she welcomed me in and takes me on rounds, and she is truly one of the most special people that I know. She's there for veterans, American heroes. She's there every day, every night, late into the night, taking care of them. So what better person than to have Mercy here celebrating this for Divine Mercy? I could not see a better fit. So, Mercy, thank you so much. I have some flowers for you. I have some flowers for you. Give her a hug, everyone. Overwhelming with love tonight. We have the silent auction going on for another, 30 minutes? Half hour? And the number last, thank you. Archbishop Aquila, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure and honor to have you here. Thank you so much for your support. And my mom has a lovely sunset photography in the back. Also another beautiful end-of-life symbol. Sometimes towards the end, it's also the most beautiful. So put your bids in the back. That's going on till 8:30, and I think we're wrapping up around 9. So thank you all for coming and showing up for Divine Mercy. That's it.
Okay, hold it.
That's not it. That's not it.
Hold it. Before you all leave, or go and drink, I'm going to play the piano.
That's what I'm talking
We are going to sing what I call a George M. Cohan medley. Now, he's not as Irish as you think. He's a different Irishman by the name of Cohan. We're going to sing some old American songs, a couple of patriotic songs, and then, of course, the song near and dear to my heart, which is our Danny Boy. But it'll be Give My Regards to Broadway. You ought to know it. If you can't sing it, then you don't belong here. I've been told by the Archbishop, if you went to Mass here, it counts for 2 weeks. I know, it's a special, it's an Irish dispensation.